one, the border has never been more secure, but a Ford and Biden advisor says he's got some advice for how to fix the border. In other words, Humpty Dumpty has advice on how to sit on a wall. That, and how is it some Republicans can't vote to even cut $9 billion? A minuscule drop in the federal budget, $9 billion. With quick takes. 2, a drug, a psychedelic, Ibogaine, that many, including military veterans, are saying is the secret to PTSD and overcoming addiction. 3, Last Cowboy Standing. It's a new special on Fox Nation, and we talk with the host. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, on the Fox News Facebook page, terrestrial radio. 3 dozen stations across America, but always available by subscribing at Apple or on Spotify. You know, this is what I got, like 2 shows left. I'm on vacation next week. You supposed to announce your vacation? I don't even know. I can't just like ghost the show. I'm on vacation next week. 1 full week. Who do you guys have coming in? Tinfoil 2 days. Who's gonna hold down the fort?
No one can replace you.
But I can guess. Nobody can. Thank you.
Well, you shouldn't have to guess because there's literally a list in our rundowns that I give you. So.
Wow. See, I went nice. He went mean instantly.
Yeah.
But you can guess. You can try.
Is the implication that I don't read your rundown, or that I'm faking that I'm going to guess?
I don't know.
Which one?
That you don't read the rundown, I think.
I believe I saw, and I would have guessed, Kennedy is going to be in next week at least once. Right?
That's true. Yeah.
Joey Jones?
That's
Joey
right.
Jones?
We love Joey.
Okay. I don't know anybody else. I literally
That's
don't. Was it in the rundown? Who else you got? They're going to split up the week, the 2 of them.
They're going to split the week.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, much needed little time off. It is much needed. I feel every day feels like a sprint that I haven't yet like gotten in cardio shape for. Like I feel like I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to have this down sooner or later, but
like marathon training,
I do, then another curveball's thrown in. It doesn't feel like a marathon because every day is its own 200-meter dash.
Got it.
Like you got to go. Like, but I keep thinking, okay, well I'll catch my wind and catch my rhythm, but then next thing you know, I'm driving to Kerrville, or we're moving the digital studios into here, or I'm going somewhere else or something, and it's just like I've not yet been able to get the rhythm. So I need a little time.
Name of the game, buddy.
Me, right? What was me? He who has to talk for a living. Right. Name of the game is always there's another game tomorrow.
That's right.
You know, in fact, that's interesting. There's always another game tomorrow. In fact, that leads us in to quick takes. Let's get into it now with story number 1. All right, here, now, the most electric man in broadcasting, the man in charge of the rundown, it is Tinfoil Pat. Take us away on a little episode of Quick Takes.
Now, Will, we're going to put a pin in that last setup because we're going to start with the border. The border is at historic levels of enforcement right now. Big things are happening, as you can see on the screen, hopefully. And but a former Biden advisor says that he thinks he can fix our immigration system that is no longer broken. Pretty crazy.
Correct,
what say you?
Tinfoil.
And
What say I?
What say you?
That's the setup. What say you, Will? What say you, Willisha? Drop into the comment section. Here's what Tinfoil's talking about. For the month of June, 6,000 southwest border apprehensions, down 15% from the previous March record. Just 6,000. As a reminder, 6,000 a day at various points during the Biden administration. 0 parole releases in the month of June, compared to 27,000 in June of 2024. Do I read that right? 27,000 parole releases in June of 2024, down to 0. That is incredible.
Pretty dang good.
Numbers. But that hasn't to your point, stopped some in the Biden administration of offering up their expertise. Here's a headline in the New York Times. It's from the opinion section. I was one of Biden's border advisors. Here's how to fix our immigration system. Because that's what everybody wants right now, is to hear from a Biden border advisor, to look at the situation we have today and go, wait, guys. Let me offer up some advice. And as funny as I want to be about it and own this, I think I got to turn this over to the internet, because the internet has been incredible. Nathan Brand on X says, I hosted Firefest. Here's how to run a music festival. Does everybody have to remember Firefest?
Yeah. They might do another one soon.
Comfortably Smug, our boys at Ruthless. By the way, let's take a moment just to congratulate Ruthless. Ruthless, now a member of the Fox family.
Welcome,
guys.
The
boys at the Ruthless Variety Program, licensed by Fox, going to live in the same house as us. And I'm super proud of the guys. They've built a really, really good show, a really successful show. It's a big win for Fox to bring over Ruthless. I don't know if this means we're going to get to see the fellas more. We're seeing them once a week over on the TV show. We're seeing them here and there on the Will Cain Show.
They staying in D.C.?
I am 100%. What do you think they're going to move to Dallas?
New York?
They're going to move to New York? If they want to move to Dallas, if the Ruthless Variety Program wants to move to Dallas, they can have full range of Will Cain Country and Will Cain Show studios. We'll outfit this thing. We'll rebrand it for a certain period in the day.
No. I don't know. We just did
invitation.
That. We just did that. I don't know if we can.
It's not easy. We got to find a time slot for them in the day.
They do
but
6
this
a.m.
studio
in the morning,
could host another.
They go early?
Oh, really? Well, then that's 6 a.m. I don't know how the guys. I don't know how Ed over there feels about getting in here and setting up a studio at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Scott King will have a coronary.
Is that I can't? You're in the dark, Ed. You're giving me a thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. He's in. Maybe he wants the hours. Maybe they want the hours. All right. Ruthless, 6 a.m. right here in the studio. So anyway, for real, super excited for the guys. Super excited for the guys over at Ruthless. And Smug says, I'm a Cincinnati Bengals player. Here's how you win Super Bowls.
That's a shot.
Dan Hauser, I was Biden's neurologist. Here's how to improve your cognitive abilities.
Damn, savage.
Smug Cincinnati Bengals thing's a shot at one of his co-hosts, right?
Yeah, it's Ashbrook, I believe.
That's a shot, John. Susan Waldman.
And Peter Hassan says, I was captain of the Titanic. Here's how to avoid icebergs. Good one. Good one. Homeland Security even got in on it. DHS said, I was Humpty Dumpty. Here's how to sit on a wall. Good stuff there.
That's good.
In response to the Biden border advisor. Oh, here's one more. Ed Morrissey. I like Ed Morrissey. He says, I was trader for Bernie Madoff. Here's how to manage your retirement savings. So that's exactly what we need when it comes to a Biden advisor when it comes to the border. Okay, what else do you have, Tinfoil Pat?
We also have big news on Capitol Hill. There's a rescission package that just passed narrowly, 5150. 3 GOP holdouts across the aisle. That's Senators Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell that made it really, really tight. Couldn't even cut $9 billion from this package. What say you?
Insane. So let me get this straight, just so you know. $9.4 billion is what was asked for by the White House. That's how rescissions works. This isn't a reconciliation bill nor a budget bill. This is a rescissions package. The way that works is Congress has already passed spending. The White House can say, you know what? We don't need all this money. We're not going to spend it. Here, we'd love for you to claw back. And you think about that, that's a pretty rare thing for an executive to do. Like, no, we don't need all that money. Has it ever been done in the history of government, by the way? We should look that up. There's got to be, rescissions bills have been done in the past, surely. But it goes against the very nature of government to go, no, we don't need this money. But that's what happens. The White House puts a $9.4 billion clawback to Congress, and Congress has to pass it. And the House of Representatives takes it as the White House has written it. $9.4 billion. For the record, that's something like $7.9 billion from USAID and a little over $1 billion to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds NPR and PBS. And the House rubber stamps it. Cool. And they pass it over to the Senate. Immediately, you start hearing that the Senate's going to carve that down to $9 billion. There's $400 million in there they just can't part with in the United States Senate, which on its face is offensive because $9.4 billion is 1/10 of 1% of total federal spending. It's nothing. And I don't know the perfect analogy, but to have the United States Senate go, that 1/10 of 1% might just be a little too much. We're going to need to carve out $400 million. It's, Senator John Kennedy said it on my show, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. But in Washington, D.C., hogs just keep getting fatter and fatter. There's no price to pay. And yet, on top of this, even the $9 billion, which, by the way, now has to go back to the House to be passed before the deadline passes on Friday night, the $9 billion, 3 Republican senators said no. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, and Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky voted no on that $9 billion. Now, I want to know this. We haven't had time here at the time of this live stream, and I'm going to look into it before this afternoon. Have those 3 senators ever said anything about debt and deficit? Have those 3 senators ever said anything about profligate government spending? Have they ever given lip service to fiscal responsibility? Because if you can't endorse 1/10 of 1% of the federal spending budget being cut, you're a fraud. You're an absolute fraud who's been looking into the eyes of the American public and lying. And I have one question for you. If you say you're not a fraud, okay, if you take offense at that, and by the way, Mitch McConnell for years was asking everybody to be along with the team, go along with the team, vote with the team. And now he's not majority leader anymore. And he's like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to go with the team. Here's my one question. What would you cut? What would you cut? If you can't cut a little from USAID or Corporation for Public Broadcasting, if you can't cut 1/10 of 1%, if you can't cut $9 billion, what would you cut? What's on the table? Otherwise, you're an absolute fraud. Take it away, Tinfoil.
Speaking of team, Will, last night was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game between the National League team and the American League team, and it ended in a swing-off after the American League came back from a 6-run deficit. A swing-off is like a little home run derby at the end of the game. Did you have any takeaways from this game that you saw? Did you enjoy the Midsummer Classic?
I did, yeah. I didn't watch it all, but you know what? Here's what I loved. I loved the mic'd up stuff. I loved Clayton Kershaw mic'd up, talking to the broadcasters in the booth. Super cool. He was letting the guys in the booth call his pitches. Like, what am I going to throw next? And it was really interesting to hear it mic'd up how much he deferred to the catcher. He goes, let's see what Will wants here. That's the catcher. And Will's like, I want a curveball. Whatever, gave the signal. He's like, okay. And then he just hammers a curveball. Like, no big, like, I was about to throw this slider, but now I'm going to throw. No, just whoom, and throws it in. But here's my big takeaway, Tinfoil. Who are these guys? Who are these Major League Baseball All-Stars? And we talked about this earlier. Two-a-days, both of you guys, I think, are bigger baseball fans than me. I think I can name the Rangers lineup. I can talk to you about the Rangers minor league system. But I cannot tell you who these guys are in the All-Star game, especially on the American League side. Like, we could play a little game. Dan, if you look up the All-Star roster, why don't you quiz me in Tinfoil real quick?
Okay.
Give us 3 guys, and let's see, Tinfoil, if we can name anything about them. Position, team they play for. Just pick 3 guys, Dan.
Okay.
It's going to be tricky.
Let's go with Jacob Wilson. He was a starter for the American League. Jacob Wilson.
Don't look up stuff. I actually know this because I did look at the rosters this morning. Do you know it, Tinfoil?
I don't. I'm going to say Indians. This feels like an Indians name.
All right.
Nope.
The Guardians, you mean?
I'm
Do you mean
sorry.
like the Guardians?
Yes.
Yeah,
the Guardians.
What the hell, dude?
I don't call.
2025, bro. Get with the times.
I'm trapped in the 2020s.
Your guess is a defunct baseball team?
Yes. So on top
Jacob
of things
Wilson,
I am.
tell me if I'm wrong. Shortstop, Oakland Athletics.
That's correct. Ding, ding, ding. All right, let's go
Holy
with
cow.
Junior.
I will say, I didn't know that before yesterday.
Right. Let's go with Junior Caminero.
Give us another one.
Junior Caminero.
Tinfoil?
Tinfoil should know him.
Which league?
American League. I'm just going American
We're
League.
sticking with American, right? Yeah. Hey, by the way, the National League's got a bunch of name brand guys more.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole lineup is stacked.
I really feel stupid now. I have no clue. I have no earthly idea.
Tampa Bay.
Really?
Oh, wait. You got to let me. Third base,
Oh,
Tampa
sorry.
Bay, right?
Yep, correct.
Third base.
I just assumed you knew because you cheated already.
Might have prepped.
All right, one more.
Come on, throw a curveball.
Ryan O'Hearn.
Oh, he's the Orioles first baseman, I think.
Almost.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got
DH?
this.
DH.
Is that correct? Is he an Oriole?
Yeah.
I think he might have put.
There's only two big, maybe three big stars on the AL. Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, and Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Can I tell you something? I knew before this weekend. I knew Vlad Guerrero and Aaron Judge. Before Home Run Derby, I didn't know Cal Raleigh.
Dude, he has 30.
I mean, when did he?
His 38 home runs at the half.
Well, I knew Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, but
just
when did he
because
come on
a
the
Florida
scene?
State guy.
This year or last year? How long has he been on the scene?
He's a vet, and he had some down years, and he's kind of coming around.
Really?
Call him Big
That's
Dumper.
embarrassing for me. Okay.
He's always been a power hitter guy. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of sports, takeaway for our final entry into quick takes.
Hey, we got friend. Well, I don't know about friend, but Scottie Scheffler, great golfer, Masters winner. He had this to say about how he feels about golf and fulfillment in life in general.
Is it great to be able to win tournaments and to accomplish the things I have in the game of golf? Yeah. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes just to think about, because it's literally worked my entire life to become good at this sport, and to have that kind of sense of accomplishment, I think is a pretty cool feeling. To get to live out your dreams is very special. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not out here to inspire the next generation of golfers. I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world, because what's the point? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from a sense of like the deepest, places of your heart. I love the challenge. I love being able to play this game for a living. It's one of the greatest joys of my life, but does it fill the deepest, wants and desires of my heart? Absolutely not.
All right. He went on, by the way, for a while, talking like this.
5 minutes.
I don't Tinfoil know. Pat speaking into a muted microphone again.
Yep, that was my fault. I was testing our next guest, so that was my fault.
Okay. Here's what I think about this. So this is getting mixed reaction. You don't like it, Dan. You don't like what you're hearing from Scheffler.
I get it. I really get it. Like, he's at the top of his game, but like, come on. I mean, you can say that because you're winning and you're so great. I get it. What about all those guys who are trying their entire lifetime to get to the point where he is, and they never will? I mean, it's like becoming a billionaire and being like, well, I got $1 billion. Life's kind of boring now. What do I do? It's not fulfilling. I get it, but come on, it's a little tone deaf to me. And I love Scottie. He's great, but it just rubbed me the wrong way a little bit.
Okay, so let me offer a counter perspective. Only someone in Scheffler's perspective, in his position, would be able to offer you this perspective. A guy that's ground his entire life and not be able to get there wouldn't yet have this perspective. It's like...
That's my point, though.
A bunch of runners running a race, and the guy that's reached the finish line tells you, once you cross the finish line, it's not all your dreams come true. It's not this sense of fulfillment. It's not what it's all built up to be while you're running the race. And only he could tell you that. And this is kind of what we were joking about or alluding to a little bit earlier. There's always a game tomorrow, whatever it is. For us, there's 2 shows every day, and there's another set tomorrow. Because this is life. And if that billionaire that you referenced says to me, I made the billion, he's probably never going to say, I don't wish I made the billion or I wouldn't do it again. But it isn't like I made the billion and now everything is right in the world.
But
and
that's
my sense
life.
of purpose has been fulfilled.
Why work at anything?
Agreed.
Then? Why work at anything? Why do what you do? Have you hit the
Well,
pinnacle? You know, like I just
Well,
think
no, but I think the point is once I do hit the pinnacle, whatever it is, there'll be a new pinnacle and there'll be a new thing, or I have to stay at the pinnacle.
Exactly.
And you have to do these things, right? Yeah, but the point is none of that is who you are or fulfills you. And I think from Scottie's perspective, look, we know a couple things about Scottie. He's religious and his family is incredibly important to him. Mm-hmm. And I think that he did go on to say some of this in that clip. These are the things that fulfill you. Sure. These are the things that answer the question to your identity. These are the things that provide you purpose. And I like golf, and it gives me an extreme sense of accomplishment. And I'd imagine if I had a conversation with Scottie, I'd ask, like, what is the fulfillment of it? It's probably the process every day. You know, instead of the medal, instead of the trophy, instead of the championship.
I would love
it's
that.
The process that you have to learn to get to. Look, there's a long history of guys. I was listening to some guys on local radio talking about this. They were talking about David Duval, who was like, David Duval before Tiger was like the guy who won and won and won but could never win a major. And then he finally won a major. And his response after winning the major was like, this is it? This is what it feels like? This thing that everybody said I couldn't do and that I had to do for validation and that I had this is it? This is all that it feels like? I don't know. I find Scottie one of the most introspective athletes out there. And talking about the nature of success and work and putting it into context of other things in life that provide you identity. And that doesn't mean mail it in. That's not the lesson. The lesson isn't mail it in or quit. The lesson is, I think, enjoy the process and find deeper senses of identity and purpose.
Or is he saying
you
that
can't be results oriented?
Or is he saying that him being good at golf does not define him as a person? Is that what he's saying also?
I think he's saying that you get in there after winning and he says like it lasts 2 minutes. You win the Masters, it's like, and everybody's hugging you.
No,
it's fun.
wait, I hated that part.
2 minutes later, you hated that part. Well, that's what he said.
I know, but but you have that win for the rest of your life. I mean, does Tiger regret winning all those tournaments? And I bet he regrets not catching Jack Nicklaus.
There's no regret. You don't. It's like a new car. You buy a new car. You don't necessarily
so it's human nature
buying that new car, but whatever endorphin release that it provided you, whatever payoff it provided you, that's gone in a month. You walk out and it's your old car. It's your car, and you don't regret it, but you're not getting that thing from it that you thought you had to get from it.
I don't know. I just have a hard time. I mean, look, I'm not at that point. I've never done anything as good as he's done, but it's just a hard thing to wrap my head around. That it's like that it goes away that quickly. If you do it a lot, sure. If you win a Grand Slam, if you win 4 major tournaments in a year, maybe that gets old real fast. But I just have a hard time believing that. All like the weekend warrior golfers around the country would disagree.
Well, we'll have to check back in with you when you get that first billion, or you hit the pinnacle, or you get that number 1 hit on the music charts.
Heck yeah.
Whatever it's going to be for you 2 days. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about something that's absolutely fascinating. It is a subject that I've dove into on a couple of occasions and helped put voice to in a new documentary on Fox Nation, The Fight of a Lifetime, about Ibogaine, a drug that many are suggesting is the secret to helping you get over PTSD, trauma, and addiction. Coming up on Will Cain Country. How is it a Republican governor from Texas is one of the biggest champions of a new drug? I think it's under the umbrella of a psychedelic, a natural root that some are saying can fix everything from trauma and PTSD to addiction. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at foxnews.com on the Fox News YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. Hey, hit subscribe at Apple or on Spotify. Ibogaine, The Fight of a Lifetime, is a new special at Fox Nation. It drops Thursday, July 17th. And here's a little bit from this documentary.
So Ibogaine is an extract of the iboga root bark. which is a Central West African shrub. It's not a new discovery. We've known about Iboga and Ibogaine acting as a therapeutic in Iboga for more than 100 years. By 1930, this was a pharmaceutical in France and was used until 1966.
All right, I'm joined now by the co-founders of Veterans Exploring Treatment Solutions, Marcus and Amber Capone. Now, I'm going to read a little bit, if you guys wouldn't mind, just so people know who you are. But Marcus is a former Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL, who personally struggled with some of the invisible wounds of war before discovering some of these alternative treatments. Amber is his wife, and Amber helped lead some of this effort after traditional medicine failed. And now you're huge advocates for Ibogaine. So great to meet both of you. Really glad to have you on the show. I think I want to start, both of you, if you wouldn't mind, with skepticism, if you wouldn't mind. Not mine, but acknowledging anyone out there's like baked in skepticism, because I had it. And by the way, you may have. Amber, whoever found this first, you may have had it when you first came across this plant root. I have a general skepticism of, like, honestly, medicine. Like, I think we're using medicine all the time, and I know Ibogaine is actually an answer to that. But somebody comes along at some point and says to you, hey, there's this plant root out of Africa, and they're doing amazing things with it. You should check it out. Tell me how you got over the skepticism.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm going to have to start. So, Will, thanks for having us on the show. So I grew up in New York going to all-boys Catholic school. So if you can imagine where I came from when I first heard about Ibogaine, I did as much as maybe drink a beer in high school and in college. So a psychedelic to me was, it was the hippie era. It was my parents that went to Woodstock. It was everything that I was taught was bad. And so when I first got introduced to, hey, this psychedelic drug is going to heal you, I was completely skeptical. I thought it was crazy. I told Amber, this is absolutely crazy. And I didn't want to hear about it. And we actually didn't talk about it for almost a year.
Yeah, I was an absolute skeptic as well. But I think, Will, whenever you get to a point where you're willing to do anything to save someone you love, nothing is off the table. And so it was only through a series of desperation points that we arrived here. And honestly, I didn't think that it would work. But I was willing to try because I wanted to know that I had tried everything, that if the worst happened and we did lose Marcus, that I wouldn't have a regret for the one thing we didn't try. Now, when it was successful, Marcus and I were both just absolutely floored.
But still skeptical.
Yeah.
So can we talk about that desperation a little bit? Marcus, can you tell us about your situation? What were you in? Like, what was your, I know we said invisible wounds of war, and we talk a lot about PTSD. Like, what was your condition that you were seeking help on?
Yeah, well, right around 2010 is when I was finished operationally. So I came from a unit that I was deploying for years, and I went into an instructor role. And really from there, from 2010 to 2017, I just gradually declined, and I got worse. I isolated, I was angry, I was drinking heavily, I didn't want to see people. And I seeked help in, I think, 2011, and I was prescribed my first antidepressant. And then I saw my first therapist, and I saw another therapist. And when I got out of the military in 2013, I got introduced to VA healthcare and then private sector healthcare. And I just hopped around from, psychiatrist to therapist, being prescribed different antidepressants and mood stabilizers. And, for, as we know now, 30-50% of people that are prescribed these drugs will never respond. And so for me, it just got worse and worse. And it just came to a point where I thought if I took myself out of the equation, Amber and our children would be better off, because we were, kind of in problem solving mode at that time. And I would have tried anything, Will, if you told me it was going to help me get better. I was just extremely angry. I couldn't sleep. I had headaches. I was really isolating. I was really upset. So I could be in a Starbucks and I can hear the national anthem and I could break down for no reason. And I didn't know why. I also didn't have the answers to what was going on with me at the time.
Let's come back to the answers for a moment. So
yeah,
you tried at that point, you tried medically prescribed drugs like antidepressants and others. You tried your own self, soothing with alcohol and other things. You had basically tried all the stuff you're not supposed to, but that we all do, and the stuff that you're supposed to, like the stuff you go to a doctor and they give you, and none of it was working.
brain clinics, 5 brain clinics. Like I said, multiple antidepressants, multiple brain clinics, multiple doctors. Nothing was getting better. And you're trusting the doctors, as you said, earlier. You said, you don't trust medicine, but when a medical professional who's been doing this for 30 years tells you to do something, like a good soldier, you follow exactly what they say, right? Because they're the expert. You're not the expert. So it got really frustrating for Amber and I, because as I got frustrated, our relationship got more frustrating and distant. My relationship with the kids got more frustrating and distant. And I was alone for a while.
I think like Marcus and so many of the individuals that he served with, like they're used to achieving a goal, setting a goal, achieving it, whatever. And he was trying so hard and it was actually getting worse. And he was being treated primarily for a psychological disorder, PTSD. And I'm not saying that that didn't exist, but there was a lot of breaching, explosions, weapons fire, traumatic brain injury, followed by years playing football. And so I was much more concerned with traumatic brain injury, and there was really nothing being done about that. It really wasn't even being talked about.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah, I like that point, Amber, because there's so many different levels to this. First of all, Marcus's situation isn't unique, right? We know the suicide and depression rates among veterans. And I've wondered about that for quite some time. I used to be in sports, and I would see athletes, NFL players often, go through something when they reached retirement. And I think often, and Marcus, I don't want to speak out of turn or out of hand, but it's like, I think loss of purpose is a big part of this for a lot of guys. Like, I'm a highly trained, highly professional, best at what I do, and now all of a sudden I have to redefine myself at an advanced age. Not old, but in your 30s often, for both sports and military. And now all of a sudden, who am I going to be? And that loss of identity is huge. Add on top of that, the breaching, the TBI, which we're still learning about, which is a real physical injury, and PTSD. And you got a complex set of things going on with you and a lot of guys.
Well, I think that's it. You hit it on the head. It's not one thing. So you're not going to sit here and say, hey, Marcus, you had PTSD or you had TBI or you had transition issues. I was listening to you earlier talking about golf. It's the same thing. Like, you reach your pinnacle, and then a week or two later, what are you supposed to do? Right. And, it's something I was looking at on paper this week, and I saw the term PTSD, and I said, post-traumatic stress disorder. I said, actually, post-transition stress disorder. So it's exactly what you're talking about, is where you lose that sense of purpose, mission, tribe. You kind of lose it all. Now mix in some PTSD, mix in the symptoms of it, anxiety and depression, mix in some physiological TBI, and you have your tornado that is basically attacking each individual.
It's a perfect storm for
Okay,
sure.
so let's talk about Ibogaine. Let's talk about Ibogaine now. So here's what I know. It's natural. It's from a root of a plant in West Africa. I don't know if it's properly classified as a psychedelic, but from what I understand, it does have psychedelic type effects, hallucinogenic at some point. Or I think. Tell me about it. You've done it. So what should we know about Ibogaine?
It definitely puts you in a psychedelic experience. Not the same as, like, if you call it a traditional tryptamine, like an LSD or psilocybin. It's actually considered an onerogen, but when you put eye shades on, you're completely in a dreamlike state. Where some of the other traditional psychedelics, like the wall could bend and things could, mesh. So Ibogaine doesn't do that. If you take the blindfold off, you know where you are. You can have a conversation. You're obviously sort of incapacitated because you are on a heavy molecule like Ibogaine. But soon as you put eye shades on, it's black. You go into this complete dreamlike state, and it's almost everyone is different. It's a bit subjective, the experience. But for me and for many, they consider it like a movie. So you're kind of doing a flashback movie of your whole life. Many go back to childhood and see actually themselves born again, literally born from the mother's womb, all the way till present day. And the experience, again, it's subjective. Whatever's going on in your head, those are the experiences that you may relive in different perspectives. So you may be talking to yourself. You may be watching an experience that you went through. You may be experiencing one of those experiences from the other side. So for instance, if Amber and I were having issues, I may be experiencing a fight or an argument from her perspective, and I'm seeing what that feels like on the other side. So you can imagine what type of learnings that you come out of these experiences with.
How long does the, for lack of a better word, trip or experience last? Like you take Ibogaine and this movie plays for how long?
Yeah. So again, subjectively, they say the peak is around 6 to 8 hours. So 6 to 8 hours, you're at a very, very intense state going through these experiences. After that intense state, you can go through roughly a 12-hour like introspection period where it's not intense. It's more of a, I would say, more of a relaxed, dreamlike state where you're thinking back of all the intensity that just happened for those 6 to 8 hours. And for many of us that had either severe childhood traumatic experiences or wartime experiences, those first to 6 to 8 hours can be extremely tough. And I tell individuals that this is not going to be a fun experience. You are going to relive some of the most traumatic experiences of your life. And that can resemble in ways of, I would consider almost like a horror movie. And it can be very rough.
Right.
But part of that, again, is, you know, the way we solve problems is to go through it, right? And so I always say, you know, the only way is through. You kind of have to forge yourself through that fire to come out the other side better. And that's what these experiences are like. And that's what my experiences are like, and many others.
Now, are you doing this alone, Marcus, or were you with him, Amber?
I wasn't with him. He had a teammate that took him down the first time and did not leave his side. He was the one who shared Ibogaine with us. I didn't know anything about it. I just trusted him. And so Marcus was not alone. Now, of course, fast forward to Marcus saying, this is it. This is exactly what the guys need, his friends, his former teammates, and then us somehow putting together a nonprofit that has now wrapped the globe in terms of impact. Vets, our nonprofit, is sending groups down. So generally 5 individuals
Right.
per week are leaving the United States for access to Ibogaine.
Okay, so this hit my radar through basically two avenues. One is Governor Rick Perry of Texas is a big champion of Ibogaine, and Texas has just passed, and Governor Greg Abbott has signed $50 million in research to study Ibogaine, looking to see if Texas might be the first state to legalize this for medical application, not recreational stuff. And I had one of the biggest champions from Kentucky, he's actually from Virginia, on our show this week, and he made clear this is under a doctor's or medical supervision. It's not something you just go do on your own. This is a thing that needs to be monitored. So Perry's endorsement of this hit my radar. And the second was because of Marcus Luttrell, the Navy SEAL, who is how Rick Perry came to know about Ibogaine. And Marcus gave testimony in front of Congress talking about Ibogaine helped him with his PTSD, his trauma issues, but not just that. He said drinking, Copenhagen. He used to chew Copenhagen all the time. All of a sudden, he didn't do any of it, didn't want any of it. And the conversations I've had since then, I've realized the research in pursuit of this isn't really just about vets. It's about the opioid crisis. How do we get people off opiates and that kind of thing? So guys are giving up their addictions after going through this process with Ibogaine?
Yeah, and that's what Ibogaine has generally been utilized for. So these clinics have been operating in Mexico for years, and it's very effective at treating opioid dependency in particular without any cravings or withdrawals, and more or less rewiring the brain to a pre-addicted state, like resetting those receptors. And there were veterans that had been through for addiction issues and on the other side reported that their PTSD was gone. And so this is sort of how things were coming together in the early days. And then friends of ours like Marcus Luttrell, Morgan Luttrell, others who've been publicly outspoken on this, we were able to sponsor to go down and receive the treatment as well. And so now, you know, the fact that they're still in many ways serving not only as advocates for the veteran community, but for all Americans who are suffering. The opioid epidemic is ravaging our country. So you're right. The implications go far beyond the veterans suffering, but the veterans are leading the way and opening this opportunity for all Americans. And Governor Perry is beloved to us. He he too has become a dear friend to us in the Vets mission. And I think, like us, he was just like, this is the right thing to do. When you know the cost, you know what's on the line, you're willing to put your reputation on something that is indisputable in terms of efficacy.
And Will, those individuals you mentioned, so former Governor Perry, Governor Abbott, Brian Hubbard, these are powerful individuals. These are friends, and these are individuals now that have taken what Amber and I have started really in 2017, and now I believe they're taking it to the next level. Right, those voices out there are so powerful for individuals to really listen to, and just, I don't want to say push the agenda, but push this movement of, hey, we've tried old technology for many years and it's not working, and what do we have available to us now? And this is what we're bringing to everybody who needs it.
And it's coming from such a surprising place. Okay, on one hand, you got Governor Rick Perry, who's one of the most conservative governors. Obviously he's not in office anymore, but like his record and who he was as governor of Texas, it's hard to impeach. Sort of, he's not some San Francisco hippie. He's Rick Perry. And Brian Hubbard, to your point, I had him on the show, and I mean, the minute Brian starts talking, you know who he is and where he comes from. They call him the hillbilly, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I've never heard a stronger accent than Brian's. And Dan Crenshaw and Marcus Luttrell, all of these guys, it's coming from a source that isn't like, I don't know, guys out there advocating for legalization of drugs in Colorado. It's not the same movement. And so let's go back to your experience, Marcus. I'm curious then. Brian Hubbard told me it sometimes isn't. I was under the impression it's often one treatment and then almost magically it's fixed. He said it might be more than one, might be two, that kind of thing. So how did that work for you, Marcus?
For me, I did one treatment, and now over a year from my first treatment in 2017, I didn't have a sip of alcohol. I was feeling really good. I have gone back several times, but I've never needed to go back for the reason I went there in the first place. I've gone back, I'd say, every year and a half since. And for me, it's more of a tune-up, kind of polishing off things that I think I need to work on, because none of us are perfect. Everyone's different. This is subjective. Medicine needs to be personalized. So there are many, many individuals that go do Ibogaine. They do it one time. They stop drinking. They stop dipping or whatever they were doing. Their trauma is released. Their depression may have gone away, and they don't need to go back again. For others, they may need several, I would say, chances or treatments to work through whatever they've been dealing with. And I think, like everything else, if you have so much stuff built up, maybe you do need several treatments to rid yourself of what you're trying to get accomplished.
I think it's also important to consider Marcus had 10 prescriptions in the VA healthcare system that he was taking every day. I mean, for someone, especially with traumatic brain injury, to even remember to take those is quite a challenge. He's taken 0 since 2017 when he prepared to go for Ibogaine. So, if you think about, he's done Ibogaine 5 times in almost 8 years, let's say, versus 10 pills a day every day. It's night and day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Marcus, I can't help but ask you, because I'm just curious about, like, I mean, I don't mind. I've never done, a psychedelic. I've never done mushrooms. I've never done LSD. I've never done ayahuasca or any of these things that people are talking about. It's a mystery box to me. Like, I hear people talk about it, like you, and it's kind of hard to put myself in your position. Like, I'm so curious. Like, maybe this is the question I put on hold a moment ago about the answers that you found. Right? So you see this movie play out, but okay, you saw your life play out. Then what?
Let me ask you, Will, do you need it? Like, are you struggling in your life, right? Is like work hard? Is your family life hard? Are you, that's what I tell people. This is not for everybody. This is for individuals, I think, that are really searching for answers, or really, there's really something wrong with their mental health or their mental wellness, and they need a solution, and they haven't found that solution through traditional means. So I do try to tell everybody that this is not for everyone. This is for people who need it. For me, I was able to unpack answers during the 6 or 8, and then eventually 12 hours of the complete treatment.
But you had insights like days, weeks, months following.
Well, yeah, but I felt completely reset really within 48 hours, where I knew exactly, like, my brain just felt better, and I turned to Amber when I saw her and just said, this is exactly what the guys need. Because, we have our group chats and group messages, and this guy's going to see a psychologist, and this one, took their own life, and that one is really struggling. And so, we had, groups of friends that were really seeking out for help and not getting answers. And I felt like, holy crud, I think I found an answer because it helped me. And the first thing I want to do was like tell others and help others. And so you do get answers during those experiences.
But is it
some doctors? Oh, go ahead, Will.
Those answers. Is it catharsis? Is it those answers? Is it catharsis of re-experiencing these things? Is it empathy, like opening your brain? Like what you described for me earlier was the ability to see things from others' perspectives. So it opened up pathways in your mindset to see things from others' points of view. Is it to reconcile with yourself some of the traumas? Like I still wonder how you arrive at the answers through this.
Yes to all the above. So, guilt and shame and maybe addiction, and maybe you're coping with the guilt and shame through addiction, right? So these are the experiences that you're going through during your Ibogaine treatment. And, I'm just going to try to make an example. I had some guilt and shame around, one of our best friends that we lost, thinking that it was my fault. I had that, constant, it was my fault. It should have been me. I should have been there. He shouldn't be dead. During the experience, it helped me just say, you know what? It wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. Let it go. He's okay. He's in a better place. And so when I came out of that experience, that's what you talk to a therapist about. That's what a therapist is trying to get through, right? A psych is trying to say, hey, what's going on here? Why are you depressed? Why are you down? Why can't you go to work? Why are you struggling? Well, I'm having a lot of issues. I keep thinking about a friend, or I keep thinking about X, Y, and Z. What Ibogaine does is it takes potentially 5 to 10 years of psychotherapy and it puts it all together in a single night. And so what you're trying to accomplish over traditional talk therapy, psychotherapy, you can get done in a few hours. And that's really powerful. But it also can open up a floodgate of issues that you need to deal with. And so, we always say the drug's the catalyst. The true healing comes after with the integration. And the integration is working with a trained, specialized therapist that understands these treatments, is able to work with you weeks and months after to really identify some of those themes in the experience that you're talking about.
I've never done a psychedelic.
Okay. Two more.
And I'm one of the most
Go
staunch advocates. I don't think that you have to have the experience to advocate for those who actually could benefit from these treatments. What I would describe it as, having witnessed hundreds of veterans, in particular some spouses, male and female, go through our program, is it helps someone rewrite the narrative that they've been telling themselves, maybe incorrectly, for a very long period of time. So if you think of the ego as this, our ability to put up walls, to not get hurt, we're telling ourselves in many cases things that are simply not true. And so what these treatments do is sort of wipe the slate clean and allow someone to create new thought patterns, new stories that are based in truth and hope and healing.
Oh, that actually really helps me, Amber. Like, I understand the concept of ego, and that ego is a construct, and the construct is a building that you have put together with the stories you tell yourself about you and everybody else. And those stories are self-reinforcing, and they can be negative. They could also be positive, by the way. Some people tell themselves stories that are completely enabling and untrue. Like my dad, I always say, gave me a ton of unearned confidence. And that unearned confidence, for better or worse, has been enabling for me in a lot of ways. But I understand what you're talking about in the stories you tell yourself and how it can help wipe the slate clean or rewrite the stories. Well, you guys, look, ayahuasca is a super popular thing in the conversation. Look, Aaron Rodgers goes and does it. I hear about all these people have done it. What would you tell me is the difference? Do you know the difference? Have you looked into that at all? Is it, you hear about these people. Some of the things you're telling me are some of the things I seem to hear about a drug like ayahuasca as well. Oh, you go down and you see things from a different perspective and this kind of thing. So what's the difference between Ibogaine and something like that?
I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't have experience in either, but I would say that there's fundamental differences in the medical needs for both. Ayahuasca is done in more of a jungle, traditional ceremonial type setting generally, and Ibogaine needs to be very medically supervised. So there's that difference. There's differences in length of time. There's differences in sizes of groups, etc. But fundamentally, I think that what all of these therapies are doing is sort of just allowing someone to get to the root of the problem and address their deep, deep inner dialogue and their inner traumas.
Yeah, well, I would say a similar experience without being a medical professional. Think of psychedelics as any other drugs that we have access to. There's for headaches, for instance, we have ibuprofen, we have Tylenol, we have Excedrin, and there's probably a bunch more that are prescription, but they all get rid of headaches. Psychedelics are the same way. They all do something very similar in terms of getting to the root cause. They're just hitting on different pathways and they're doing different things into the brain.
Right. All right, hold on. My guy here is asking me a question. Ed, what's your question?
My question is compared to what everything that he paid for in medicine.
Oh, right.
How much is compared to?
Yeah. What about cost? Like everything you were spending for all the medicines you were taking before versus how much this treatment cost?
I mean, it's pennies. When you're talking about a nonprofit trying to help veterans at scale, it's very costly. But for comparison's sake, you're talking about less than $10,000, and some people need one treatment, in their lifetime or two, as opposed to all of the costs for the brain clinics, the doctors, the psychotherapists, the medications that would have gone on for life. It's pennies on the dollar, and it's actually allowing people to feel again, to live again. They emerge from these treatments feeling connected to themselves, to their spirit, to God, to nature, to humanity, to their family, to purpose. And they are just so grateful to be alive again. So you're really like to give someone their life back. It's pennies.
Right. That's a good question, Ed. Good job. Glad you're here, Ed. I have two more questions. How do you take it? Do you eat it? Do you drink it? How do you take Ibogaine?
Yeah, Ibogaine, when it's synthesized, it's in a pill. It's a pill form, just like you would take any other medicine. Right now, the way it's being done in a lot of these retreat, they're weighing out the medicine for your body weight. I think we'll see when it comes through the FDA how it's different, whether it's a pressed pill or whether it's an IV or nasal spray. Right now, there's over 200 clinical trials going on with different psychedelics, and the delivery system is different for all of them. And I think we'll see, what I think there'll be many.
Right. All right. Last question, because I think it's responsible. We have to do it. And I know the answer. Brian Hubbard told me in part. There are downsides. So what are the downsides to Ibogaine? I know that Brian told me there is some risk of cardiac issues, right? So we can't pretend it's the miracle drug. So, I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there's got to be some risk reward.
Yeah, I would say the first thing about Ibogaine, which when we were talking to the Texas legislature, was that the question was asked, this is not a recreational drug by any means. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody knows anyone who does Ibogaine recreationally. So this really needs to be regulated, medically accessed. There is a cardiac risk, as you mentioned, so there needs to be, medical professional, cardiologist, nurses, psychologists, or therapists. You need to have a whole medical team when individuals are going through these treatments, and that's why we're so adamant about doing this so carefully. We don't want anyone to get hurt. Most importantly, this has to be safe, effective, and really scalable. And we have to be able to somehow pay for it. As you mentioned earlier, how much these treatments are. They can be quite expensive, as I imagine, when they do come through the FDA. So insurance coverage is going to be a big deal when the time comes.
Right. All right. Amber and Marcus Capone, thank you guys for spending so much time talking to me, satisfying my curiosities on this. The special drops tomorrow, July 17th to Fox Nation. It's Ibogaine, The Fight of a Lifetime. I appreciate you being so open, and Marcus, appreciate everything you've given for this country.
Yeah, well, thank you. Appreciate you having us on the show. Thanks.
Thank you, Will.
Okay. Take care. Genuinely fascinating. I think you should check that out at Fox Nation. Ibogaine, the fight of a lifetime. Speaking of Fox Nation, the next season of The Last Cowboy Standing is up as well. And we have Kate Harrison, the host, joining us next on Will Cain Country. Bull riding's hitting pop culture, and you can catch the latest episodes and series of Last Cowboy Standing up right now at Fox Nation. It is Will Cain Country, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel and the Fox News Facebook page. The Willisha into that conversation, curious about Ibogaine, and has joined the conversation. Stacey Twomey says, I'm excited about the new med for trauma addiction, and PTSD. Andy Q says, life is an emotional roller coaster. Don't rush to therapy and drugs because you're having a bad time. Things change. Give it time. I don't think, 2 days you said, I hate that comment. You said that. But the thing is, like, I mean, Andy is right in some degree. Like,
Yeah.
life is an emotional roller coaster. You can't always expect highs. You can't always expect good times. Hold on. Hear me out for a second. Like, how about this? You and I watched Severance, right?
Mm-hmm.
We watched Severance, both of us, on Apple TV. The whole point of Lumen is what the way they suggested is to do away with pain, right? To do away with pain. And that sounds great, right? But, like, what is pleasure without pain? Like, you have to have all of these things. So I get what Andy's getting at. I will say, you just listen to Marcus, and you're talking about something different. It's not simply an emotional roller coaster, but a trap that you're in, stuck. Because of a lot of external circumstances, and a lot of internal circumstances as well, of a cycle that needs to be broken. And this is interesting to me because the traditional medicine answer to breaking the cycle is to get hooked on something else, right? Like some other constant drug. What's curious and interesting to me about Ibogaine is, honestly, the infrequency of it. It's like you do this thing, and now you can get yourself maybe back on the roller coaster. It's not you're always going to be happy afterwards, but you're not stuck on a constant downward spiral. Go ahead, 2 days.
But I just think there's a history of, not pushing therapy and anti-therapy drugs. And it's okay. It's not rushing to take drugs and to go to therapy. I think a lot more people should be open to it and know about it more. People spend their lives,
See,
a lot of men too.
That.
Kind of bottle it up.
I think therapy has become something. Again, I'm not saying therapy isn't useful. We just heard a long conversation about how therapy pairs with this in dealing with issues. But, like, honestly, to hear you talk about it, sometimes I think therapy has been turned into a modern day religion. Like, instead of finding your solace in the things that humans have for thousands of years, it's like therapy becomes the thing that we have turned into a religious proposition. And that everyone should be in therapy, and it's useful for everybody. Go ahead.
No, I disagree. I think it's the opposite. I think we turned it into something that's useful, and it's been turned away for so long. And talking about your feelings, talking about how you're doing is seen as a weakness. When it's not a weakness, I think it's a strength, and it's very mature emotionally to be able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it.
You're from Texas, man. I'm from Connecticut. We have different views on things.
I think, yeah. Maybe men aren't always supposed to talk about their feelings.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's the mentality,
bear it
man.
And move on.
That's the mentality, man.
Well, that's fine. That mentality built a few skyscrapers and put a man on the moon too.
Started a country.
I'm just saying. So.
Yeah.
Catherine, DG, and Kato says, are you with a doctor while you're going through this? It's a great question. They certainly suggested you're with some professionals. I don't know if it's an MD. And Suzanne, look at that. She's got the number one next to her because she is a big-time contributor to the show, says, I don't know if I want to know what my subconscious mind is thinking, although it's kind of a scary thought. I agree, actually. Like, do I really want to get in there and start? Well, but, and Marcus said, this is not for people that don't have mental health issues, right? So I think I'm doing pretty well. So maybe I don't need to unlock that box. Like, let's just keep those things where they are. They're not messing with me right now. Tucked away nicely. Let's go build skyscrapers. All right. Also up right now at Fox Nation is Last Cowboy Standing. The host is Kate Harrison. She is also on-air talent for PBR, and Kate joins us now. Hey, Kate.
How you doing? And we're actually neighbors. I'm in Weatherford, Texas.
Really?
So I'm still learning Texas
That's
traffic,
cooler.
but I'm pretty sure I could get to you in about an hour and a half.
That's
Ish.
about right. That's correct. You're on the west side of Fort Worth, and it's a lot cooler than Dallas, because that is like, you're in Cowboy capital USA. Like, that is where all the bull riders and cowboys live, on the west side of Fort Worth and around Weatherford. But you're not from Texas, I take it, because you said you're still learning traffic. So you just parked yourself right in the middle of Cowboy capital USA?
Look, I grew up rodeoing my entire life, but I'm from Southern California, which everyone thinks, well, how can you be from California and rodeo? Because you get outside of the big cities, it's ranches, it's ag. That's what it's always been. My family is 4 generations California. Unfortunately, that state has changed a lot from the stories my grandfather and my dad shared. But right in the middle of the cities, my grandfather grew up on what was a goat farm and alfalfa field. So there's a lot of cowboy, and cowboy is cool in California. But unfortunately, cowboy is way cooler in Texas right now. So happy to be.
Where were you in Southern California?
A tiny town called Agua Dulce. So it's North LA County, exact opposite of LA. I mean, you ride your horses down to the Mexican restaurant for some chips and salsa. We had one stop sign. It was nothing like anything in LA County. So it's a special bubble, but unfortunately, it's still LA County. So you could take that for what it is.
And now you live in Weatherford, and you go down to the Mexican restaurant, you may run into Ty Murray or Tuff Hedeman or any of the other cowboys that live in the area. You grew up rodeoing.
I did.
What'd you do? Am I a sexist if I presume that means barrel racing? What did you do?
Not at all. So professional levels, barrel racing, breakaway. I mean, that is what women do at that level. But when you start as a kid, you do everything. My dad's a cowboy, stuntman in the movie business. So if you could enter me, I was entered. Breakaway roping, team roping, goat tying, pole bending, barrel racing, you name it, I did it. So we're going for what's called all around in the rodeo business. So if I was going to do everything.
Oh, awesome. What was your favorite?
Okay, my favorite and what I was best at were different. My very best growing up rodeo, and what I went to nationals one state in, is something called pole bending, where you got to run down, you weave through 6 poles, you weave back, and you run home. Looking back, it is the most stressful possible sport in rodeo. I mean, you have 21 chances to mess up at the end of the day when you're weaving all these poles. But that's what I was best at. But my very favorite, I love roping, because till this day I get to rope with my dad. Now I rope with my 5-year-old son. My 3-year-old daughter is interested in it. So there's something about that, because of the nostalgia and doing it with family, that it's a very favorite.
So, I didn't grow up rodeoing. I did grow up riding horses here and there, and spent some time in my life in a ranch in Montana. So I've been around horses, never rode a bull. Wish I would have when I was younger, just to say I did it.
Well, you and me both. I've never rode bulls.
No. My favorite thing that I've done, I've only got to do it one time, is and this was with Fox and Friends. It's not PBR. And I went to the American rodeo, and this isn't a rodeo sport, but cutting horses. And so I got to get on some of the cutting horses. And for those watching or listening that don't know what that is, that's turning essentially traditional cowboying into a sport. So is rodeo. But this is, getting on these horses that have the athletic ability to cut left, cut right, and, cut out a calf or a steer from a herd. And so what ends up is these horses are Ferraris. I mean, they are incredible athletes. And I got to do that, Kate. And that's like, you touch the reins a little bit this way or a little bit that way, or squeeze your legs, and these horses do whatever it is you want. Spin, turn, and on a dime. And that was one of the coolest experiences I've got to have when it comes to Western sports.
And you're right. As athletic as you can imagine. And they are probably the same price tag as a Ferrari as well. So there's definitely that similarity in the two. But that's the thing with horses, any animals in rodeo, come and be around it. And then you understand how well these animals are taken care of. I mean, when you're involved in the game, they're your kids. You love them just like your kids. The amount of time and effort that you spend with these animals, and then you get to see the result of that in the arena, just like you did.
All right, well, tell us about Last Cowboy Standing. I think I voiced over one of the seasons early on, but you're the host. Tell us about it's a competition. It's up and comers, if I remember correctly, about guys, and it's mostly about bull riders, I believe. Right? Tell us about Last Cowboy Standing.
Yeah, Last Cowboy Standing is taking 8 amateur bull riders essentially, and amateur is a tough word in bull riding because the bulls don't know the difference. When you're riding at the top level of the sport, the only thing that makes you amateur is you haven't won on the big stages before. There is no amateur bulls to go against. The danger level is the same, but it's taking 8 guys that have not competed at the biggest stages of bull riding, and it is pairing them up with some of the greatest coaches in the game and putting them through skills tests, not only on the back of bulls, but everything that goes into bull riding. The mental side of it is huge in bull riding. So going through different mental tests, reaction tests, flexibility, and pulling back the curtain and showing what goes into the 8 seconds on a bull. For a long time, there was this idea that cowboys are not athletes, and that could not be further from the truth. Outside of hosting Last Cowboy, my full-time job is a reporter for the PBR. So I'm on the road every week with these athletes and see what goes into being on the back of a bull. And you have to be athletic. That sport is way too dangerous to not be fully committed and not to be the best at your game, because you will be exposed in bull riding faster than any other sport. There is no backup. There's no pads. There's no next down or next play if it doesn't go right the first time. There's one opportunity. There's one chance. And if you are not bringing it your A game, if you're not bringing your all, a bull will expose you and you could end up underneath. You can end up hung up. You could end up killed. That is the reality of bull riding. So it's taking these 8 guys and developing them to the level where they can compete at the very top. And the coolest thing is all 8 of these guys come from different backgrounds, different countries, and they all have a different why. But if you're getting on an 1,800-pound animal athlete, your why has to be huge. Why do you want it? Why do you crave it? And we get to share these stories. And by the end, you're not only rooting for them because you want them to achieve their dreams, you're rooting for them as human beings who are trying to do what should be humanly impossible, right? Bull riding is the biggest mismatch in sports. You got a 150-pound guy, you got a 1,500 to 1,800-pound animal athlete. The heavyweight should win every single time, yet the lightweight walks into it every time saying, I can do this. I can conquer the impossible. So really, it's a human experiment. You get to see these guys develop and go through that and gain this incredible confidence to do what many of us can never even imagine.
Right. And it's a competition, the show as well, right?
It
so
is.
You go through this
And
process, but these guys are competing.
Yes, the hardest part, because oftentimes our eliminations come right after bull riding. So here are these guys that just put their life on the line, doing what they love. They're beat up, and now I got to send one home. So that for me was the toughest part of it.
Right.
But, you know, the coaches we have on the show, they say it best. This isn't a sport for the weak-hearted. If you get eliminated, well, you got to show what you're made of, because it is not a sport where you could come in, poor me with your shoulders down. No, you got to come in with intention and purpose. So it's really finding the guy that's ready. And if you're not ready, then it's not time to be a professional bull rider because of that danger.
You mentioned guys from multiple countries. Let me guess. Brazil, Australia, Canada, and the U.S. Did I miss a country?
Oh, you're pretty good at your PBR league. I'm going to throw one in there for you. We have a guy on the show, Joe Alejos from Guatemala. He is a 13th generation rancher in Guatemala and comes from a 1,300-acre ranch that they still don't have running water and electricity on. And here he is over here trying to truly live this American dream. So, and you're right, because I would have thought all the same countries. So this one threw me as well. And it's fun to watch him on the show. He was a great surprise.
That's worthy of its own episode. Why is bull riding a thing in those, 4 countries, the U.S. and those 3 other countries, versus Mexico? Like, where's the Mexican bull riders? I mean, there's Mexican vaqueros, there's cowboys. I don't know. They're not riding bulls down there. PBR, your job real quick at the PBR. Every time my social media opens up, it seems like it's going more mainstream. I was at an event about a month or 2 ago. You got the Cavenger twins, a bunch of Dallas Cowboys. You got Kid Rock. It's becoming a celebrity event.
It is, because I believe part of us, we all want to be cowboy, because what being cowboy means, it's this grassroots, down to earth, hardworking type of person. And there's a little bit of that in all of us. And for me, bull riding, like I said, most of us won't do it. Anyone could go out there and throw a ball in a hoop. It doesn't mean we're good. We could all pick up a baseball and a baseball bat. We all could get a sense of it. But for bull riding, we won't necessarily experience it, but we all have our own Goliath in our life, right? We all know what it's like to tackle some type of mountain that seems too difficult to climb. We all have something that we face in life that we might have fear. There might be nerves, but we have to dig down deep and find a way to conquer it. And I think that there is an easy way to cheer for and root for these guys and watching that. And let's be honest, for the ladies, who doesn't want to go and watch a guy in a cowboy hat? I mean, I'm not just saying it. I've spoken to a ton of people that are watching in the stand. So there's something about a guy in a cowboy hat right now.
I'm looking for my cowboy hat right now. I don't see one in the studio. Kate Harrison is the host of Last Cowboy Standing. It's up on Fox Nation. Check it out, and check Kate out as well at any PBR event. Kate, thanks for being with us today.
I appreciate you. I'm making that drive next time, and I'll bring you a cowboy hat.
We'll get you in studio. Thanks, Kate. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure you subscribe. Spotify, Apple, set a reminder to be back here again tomorrow. 12 o'clock Eastern Time, Fox News YouTube and Fox News Facebook. I will see you again next time.